that camera up a little bit. All right. I think we're going. I think we're live now. So let me get disclaimers out of the way. We'll jump into it. We got a couple of people talking to us already. Camera seems a little tight here. Let me try to make an adjustment. Give myself a little bit more headroom there. I don't know why. There we go. All right. So this is a weekly live broadcast. I pretty much every Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central, this is where I am. This is just an Ask Me Anything session. I don't have a topic planned out. I do my best to respond to all the chat that comes in during the live broadcast itself. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. The only things I ask is be polite, keep it family friendly. Don't start cussing at us, call anybody names. Don't be hateful with anybody. We can have a good friendly debate if you want to. Difference of opinions are fine. There's no reason to hate anybody over that stuff. So just be polite, be friendly, so we don't have to kick anybody out. And we'll be good. Let's jump into it then. We got Ed Got Bait. Good to see you, Ed. Says, hey, Chris. Glad to see the storms from the past few weeks have not messed with you. No, it's actually been not too bad. I mean, we had some storms come through, had even some tornadoes in the area, but nothing too serious. And it all, I mean, it didn't affect me really at all. The only thing that has done is means I don't have to water anything because it's been raining pretty much every other day. We're actually no longer in a drought. We've been in a drought forever, and we're no longer in a drought now all of a sudden. So all in all, it's not been bad. Joyce here says hello from Western Oregon. Good to see you, Joy. Thanks for joining. And there's Verna. Says, evening, Chris. Fourth like. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Dawn, good evening, Chris. Fifth like, and I can't stay long, but at least I made it this week. Hey, that's all good. Thanks for joining us. Even if it is for just a short while, I don't blame you. You don't have to make it every time. And then we got a whole bunch of back and forth, and it looks like Ed and Joy left. Huh. So they stopped by, gave their likes, and left. That's okay. People got other things to do. I completely get it. All right, who else we got here? Blessed with Pets is here. Hello to you. Good to see you. Andy Rabbit. I missed that. Is Andy here? Yeah, there you are. Good to see you, Andy. Thanks for joining. And Emma Ball, good to see you too. Billy Glass says, hey, Chris, I did it. I hatched off quail. I'm over the moon. Well, awesome. Congratulations on that. I hope it went really well. I don't know. Let's see. And then Emma wants to know, well, here, let me get back to that one first. Congratulations on the hatch. I'm assuming it was your first hatch, but still, that's something to be proud of. So good job. Well done. All right, we got Warchild here. Good to see you. And then Emma Ball says, hey, Chris, can quail eat maggots? Yeah, they can. There's nothing wrong with that. Whether they will or not, I mean, it takes them a little while to get used to that kind of stuff, but chances are they will. They'll eat it right out. And just make sure you have some kind of grit for them if you're going to be feeding them that kind of stuff. Sand, if you have a sandbox, that's going to work for grit. That's all you need. But you do need to make sure they have some kind of grit if they're going to be eating something other than, just like quail, like game bird feed, crumble. If they're going to be eating like live insects and things like that, they need the grit to be able to help grind that up. Let's see. Marty, good to see you. Says hello to everyone. Lanita Lokita, I think it is, says, whoop, first time actually catching the live. We just hatched our very first cubby. Thanks for all your videos. They've been so helpful. Well, awesome. Congratulations on your hatch. I'm glad to hear that it went well. Glad to hear that the videos were helpful, and thank you for watching them. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by things here. All right. We got Andy Dundas. Says, hello, everyone from Southwest Michigan. Hello to you, too. Thank you for joining us tonight. Andy Rabbit wants to know how everyone is doing. I'm doing well. Hopefully you are, too. I'm guessing. Hopefully the storms that went through didn't really affect you too badly either. It didn't look like they were too bad when they got over to your area, but hopefully. Bob Cole, good to see you. Says, hello to everyone. Billy Glass says, first time, 100%. So first time, you got 100% hatch rate? Is that what you're saying? You got 100% hatch rate your very first time? Well, if that's the case, don't let that set your expectation. You probably will never get 100% hatch rate again. But either way, that's fantastic. So good job. Well done. Emma says, I recently seen someone put carcasses in a bucket to allow flies to lay eggs and turn into maggots that crawl out to her chickens. I'm wondering if it's any good for quail. So I've seen those before too. I mean, yeah, you could do that. You could try to build something like that where it would drop for the quail. I'm not sure. I'm assuming you've got them in like a wire bottom cage, so I'm not sure how you would catch them, so to speak. And that is the one problem with trying to feed things like that to quail. That if they're in a wire bottom cage, is that they're a lot like chickens too. They don't just grab their food and eat it. They tend to kind of fling it around a little bit and all, and they tend to kind of, even if I put it in the sandbox, it seems like they tend to fling it out and it falls through the wire bottom. But maybe not. I mean, if you could rig something up that would catch them, then, and you could deal with the smell, because there is going to be a smell with that, then yeah, you could try it for sure. There's no reason it wouldn't work. Scrap 5000 says, "What's up, all? Greetings from New York City. Smash the like button. Thank you. Appreciate that." David Lister says, "Good day, y'all." Good day to you too. S.O. Swanson from Mississippi Delta. Good to see you. Don Skin says, "Hello, everyone from South Mississippi." A couple people from Mississippi. Good to see you too, Don. Let's see. Don said, okay, I'll let you do that. Emma says, "My quail love the odd wood louse when I find them." Yeah, they like the little bugs. I mean, we've got earwigs. We've got a big earwig problem. They're all over the place. And sometimes I'll scoop some of those and throw them in there, and they go to town on them. They like those. Feathered Connections is here. Says, "Hey, Chris and Quail family. Hello to you. Thanks for joining." Where are we at here? Feathered Connection says, "Homesteading and QuailCon shirts should be available soon. Just found out that's my job and didn't know. LOL." Yeah, it's kind of a surprise, huh? Well, hopefully it's not too big of a burden for you. RBL Jackson says, "Yo, what's up, all? What's up with you?" David says, "Chris, flinging around, it's all out food fight, and you know it." Yeah, they fling it around. Yeah, they fling the food around whenever they get the bugs. They tend to kind of pick them up, fling them around. Chickens do the same kinds of things. Told you about that the other day. I think probably had a chicken in the tractor there that got a hold of a bug or something, and boy, it was on. I mean, they were after, all the other chickens were after him, and that chicken was running around there trying to find a place to, smack that around a little bit and then eat it. And I don't know if they ever did. I didn't watch that long, but it was kind of funny to watch there for a few minutes. Chester Hickman's here. Good to see you. Says, "Good evening to everyone." Well, good evening. Just open, so I'm assuming it's everyone. Emma says, "I lost a few quail recently. I left the latch off like a pro, and flies had already got to them when I found them. So I'm trying to make the best of a bad situation if I can. But yeah, the smell." Oh, yeah. Okay. So gotcha. I'm a little lost on that. I'm not sure if you lost them because you left a latch off or something, or what exactly the latch being left off. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Trying to make the best of a situation I get, don't let it go to waste. But at the same time, I mean, it's like you said, there's a smell, it's kind of nasty. But if you can figure out a way to rig it up, I mean, it's free food, and your quail will probably enjoy that. So, why not give it a try? I'm just not sure how you would keep them, from, like I said, falling through wire floor or anything like that. But, see what you can figure out. Gingerbeard says, "Have you ever looked into a way to feed your chickens, quail, and rabbits without store-bought feed? I'm looking to start cutting costs since I got laid off." Oh, no, I'm sorry to hear that. I've been asked that question a lot, and I've never really found a good way to do that. I mean, your rabbits, technically, you could probably put them like in a tractor or something and move them around a lot, let them forage for their food for the most part. They're going to grow out really slow, but they could live off of that. I don't think you'd have to supplement them much. You may have to a little bit. But as far as the chickens and the quail go, I don't really have a good solution for that, unfortunately. I wish I did. Yeah, I'm sorry you got laid off. Hopefully you find another job soon. Verna says, "Chris, I have 8 rabbits to finish the end of each month, May, June, and July." You have 8 rabbits to finish the end of each month, May, June, and July. Okay. I'm not sure what you mean by finish. Are they due to have birth the end of each month? Is that what you're saying? You've got them spaced out to where you're going to have rabbits every month, maybe? Well, that's not bad. That's pretty good. Emma says, yeah, the latch was off. Some birds got out and something got to them before I did. Okay. And so did the flies. So, yeah, trying to figure out what to do with a bunch of useless dead birds. Yeah. Sorry to hear that. That's unfortunate for sure. And I don't have a really good solution for you. I mean, your idea may be a good idea, but I just don't know. I don't know the best way to go about that one. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, please warn everyone of the dangers of feeding maggots to the birds. They can wipe out the whole flock from botulism. Read about that on Backyard Chickens. Really, I've never actually heard of that before. Botulism with maggots? Okay, gotcha. Yeah, this says ingesting of maggots from the carcass of an infected animal can continue the spread of avian botulism, which may be responsible for large kills of birds. Outbreaks of avian botulism occur only when a variety of particular ecological factors occur concurrently. This typically involves warm water temperatures. So with water, I don't know. You may have to read into that one just a little bit. You might want to look that up and kind of, that's the first I've heard of that. I've never heard of that happening before, but apparently it is a possibility. So you might want to look into it and, just to make sure you're not going to kill off your birds. So thanks for that heads up. I didn't know about that. Berna is saying no freezer camp the end of the month. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, that's not a bad thing either. David Lister says, smash the like button, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate that. Emma Bell says, I'll try the maggots with the quail if it's okay then. Yeah, well, I mean, it is okay. You just heard what we were talking about probably. So do a quick Google search on that one, quail or feeding maggots to birds and botulism, and it'll come up with some links. You can kind of research and see. It seemed like there might be some specific situations where that would be a concern. Just make sure, read about it, see. I don't know how big of an issue that would actually be, but it's worth looking into, I suppose. Ginger Beer said, I've considered trying to sow wheat for flour. Wonder if that would work for feed too. Maybe grow some feed corn and grind at home. Well, I mean, it might. Honestly, I mean, there's a whole... You could grow fodder for your animals. It's a little bit more work. I don't know how much cheaper it would be, and it's not a complete nutrition. So you're going to be sacrificing some nutrition, probably impact your egg laying and all those kinds of things. But it could be done. So most of the time, people feeding fodder are usually using, I want to say, like barley or there's a couple other things that they would use, but it's not necessarily nutritionally complete. They kind of need a variety of things. So I'm not sure the best way to go about doing that. You may be on the right track. You just I'm not the best source for that one, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I wish I could help. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, even just regular botulism can wipe them out. Dead things can carry some very nasty germs. Well, I can imagine that makes sense, but I have never heard of that actually being an issue. So that's the first I've heard of it, but I haven't really looked into it that much. So I don't know. So anyway, I'll have to look into that one a little bit later. Thank you for the heads up on it. Ginger Beard says maybe some oats. Well, yeah, you could do oats too. So you got a couple ideas there. Blessed with Pets says I'm gone goat crazy. LOL. I went from 3 to 12, and this weekend it'll be 17 of them. Bottle babies, so safe to say I stay busy. Boy, it sounds like it. I like goats. They're nice, but that's a lot of goats. Emma says, thanks to everyone. You're absolutely welcome. Verna says, Emma, you would have to mix a lot of different seeds. Do your research. I'm not sure what that was in reference to. Gingerbeard says, thank you for answering my question, good sir. This has given me some things to think about. Well, you're welcome. I'm sorry I can't give you a very concrete answer on that. I mean, I don't know everything. So, sorry I can't give you better information to go on, but a little bit of research, you might be able to figure something out. Blessed with Pet says, I actually traded 3 Iam Samani hens for 2 3-month-old Nigerian dwarf goats. It was a heck of a deal. Sounds like it. S.O. Swanson says, maybe don't pick maggots off of dead animals and you could be okay. Yeah. Yeah, that might be, but that doesn't take care of what does she do with all the birds that died. You might be able to find, probably not, honestly. I don't know that I'd mess with that. I was going to say, you might be able to freeze them and then find somebody that wants to feed whole prey to, like, maybe a reptile guy or a, hawks or, somebody that's like a falconer or something like that. That might be an option too. Blessed with Pets says, I'm in to say 7 of them are bottle babies. They're all purebred Nigerian dwarfs. Awesome. Oh, you meant Ginger. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Is Ginger a girl or a boy? I'm assuming with Ginger beard, it's going to be male, but I don't know. I may be wrong. Who knows? But yeah, probably look into it, research a little bit on what is needed. I don't know that it's going to be much cheaper to try to do that on your own. It's going to definitely be a lot more work, but I don't know. I may be wrong. Chris Mason says, greetings all. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm doing well. Hopefully you are too. Emma says, so why would that be okay? Why would what be okay? What are we talking about? Oh, you threw me off there, Vernon. I was trying to make out your code. It said, hey, Chris, MG2CU. So you're not talking to me. You're talking to Chris Mason. That's the Chris M part. I get it now. But anyway. Cody says, Coturnix quail hatching eggs arriving soon to add to our homestead. Well, awesome. Hopefully you get a good hatch rate out of that. Gingerbeer said, this day and age, who knows? I'm a guy. Love this chat. Y'all are the best. Yeah, I figured you were. I just assumed you were. I didn't know for sure, but you're right. This day and age, you never know, do you? I mean, I know, but, some people, I guess, are confused. S.O. Swanson says, Emma was directing that line to me. Okay, good, because I didn't know what we were talking about. But, Jay says, my quail are turning 3 weeks old tomorrow. Need to get the permanent cage built this weekend. Yeah, that's always a rush to get things done, isn't there? I know how that feeling goes. I tend to kind of put things off, and then all of a sudden I have to do it. David Lister says, our third chucker incubation hatch in a row with 0 fertility on them. So we're giving up on them after 18 months. So freezer camp, here we come. They are tasty, by the way. Yeah, I bet. Well, I'm sorry to hear that's not working out real well. I guess there's a reason why people don't really raise them on a regular basis, but good to know. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, the same conditions can be found inside dead animal carcasses, like how botulism is a danger in poorly canned food, anaerobic over 40 degrees, especially from the flies landing and introducing it. Well, that makes sense. I mean, like I said, I'd never heard of that before, but I haven't really looked into it too much. And it makes sense. So, again, you might want to look into it before you go and, try to feed your animals or your quail on the, sorry, I got distracted, with maggots. Backyard Quail Keeper says, hi, Chris, I use nipple water feeders for my quail, but lately they have recently stopped working. Have you ever had problems with them? I don't really use the nipple water feeders. I mean, I have used them before. I do have my winter bucket. It's nipple kind of water feed, water. It's got the little, plastic thing with the nipple that sticks out and little kind of indentation there that catches a little bit of water. I've never had problems with them not working. They've always worked. I don't know. I mean, did they rust or something? I mean, I can't imagine they should be galvanized or something. I mean, shouldn't rust. I'm not sure what would happen with those. I use the water cups for the most part and never really have problems. I mean, every once in a while I get a problem with those where they don't necessarily stop working, but maybe they start leaking, and I'll have to take them apart and clean them and put them back together and all. But that's about it. Bob says Emma just toss birds in the trash. Botulism mentioned above. Yeah, what I tend to do whenever I have a bird that dies is I tend to just throw it out in the back tree line, and something, neighborhood cat, something will pick it up. Jay says your coop is oh wait, Tony from Tony with the hard last name. I never can pronounce it exactly. From Toronto. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Jay says your coop is an inspiration. Appreciate all the content. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that you found that helpful. Verna says G2CU means good to see you. Yeah, I figured that out, actually. It took me a minute, but I did figure it out. Jay wants to know, how are the rabbits doing? They're doing well. I'm kind of past due on getting some of them processed. But all in all, they're doing great. No issues. JJ Willow says, hello all. Hello, Chris. Hello to you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Let's see where we at here. Chris Mason says, question. We have cold winters in northern Illinois. I know the quail will be fine, but I don't know if I want to be outside during the coldest months. Would it be a hassle to just keep quail seasonally? Not really. I mean, you can do it. I pare down in the wintertime, but I don't just get completely rid of my birds. I just pare down to a small amount. And then, with the electric water, the heated water that I'm using, it really makes, I mean, that's the hardest part about winter for me is watering. And that takes care of it. The water doesn't freeze. And it holds 2 gallons of water, so I don't have to fill it up every single day. And it works out pretty well for me. But if you can get, eggs pretty easily, there's no reason you have to. I mean, you could definitely get rid of the birds in the wintertime and then pick back up in the spring. It's a good thing about quail is you can ramp up pretty quick with them. Backyard Quail Keeper says, my Easter hatching have started laying eggs, and I need all of them working. I bought a different one. I bought different one. Okay, so they're starting to lay eggs now. You want to make sure they're all laying eggs because you bought different ones, I'm guessing. Well, anyway, congratulations on getting the eggs laid there. I'm sure that they all, if they're not all laying yet, they're all going to be laying really, really soon. And hopefully you get the birds you're looking for out of them. Verna says that many people do it seasonally, but it's more expensive each spring. You have to order more eggs. Well, that's true. But, there may be a trade-off there if you're willing to do it. Why not? Jacob Wolf says, my first litter turned 6 weeks yesterday. I can't wait to weigh them this weekend and see how much all 8 of them weigh. Well, nice. So your first litter, 6 weeks yesterday. I'm assuming this is a rabbits we're talking about right there. I hardly ever weigh my rabbits, but yeah, go ahead and weigh them out. See how they're doing. 6 weeks old, they should be, well, it depends on what kind they are. Mine, at 6 weeks old, they're nowhere near size to process. It takes them closer to 12 weeks to grow out. Emma says, Chris, Verna was speaking to Ginger about needing to do more research, nothing to do with maggots. LOL. Yeah, yeah, I know. I figured that one out too, but it just took a minute. Sometimes I get just, have a hard time following. John says, remind Jay in his hutch building that he can build it with 1 door, 2 doors, or 3 doors. Can't build it with 4 doors because then it won't be a coupe. It'll be a sedan. I saw that coming, actually. Yeah, that's pretty good. I saw that. It's a dad joke I saw the other day. It said, why chicken coops only have 1 door or 2 doors, I think it was. And they had 4, they'd be a sedan. Pretty good, though. Emma says, I will do my maggot research, though, and I'll let you guys know what I find out. Sounds good. I'm not sure how big of a threat botulism is, but, I don't know. It may be a big threat. Who knows? Bob Cole says to David Lister, I recently had a very unsuccessful hatch, cracked open eggs, and found a lot unfertilized. I put a hutch number on the eggs so I can see what roos are not doing their job. Well, there you go. Emma says, I've seen lots of coops inspired by Chris's coop design. I've seen a few, quite a few of them actually. I'm kind of feel humbled by that. I didn't realize it was going to be such a great design. I mean, it works well for me, but you know, I would assume somebody else would come up with something a little bit better. But I don't know why. If it's not broke, why fix it, right? Blessed with Pet says, my parents are out of town and I'm in charge of my 6 siblings. 18-year-old brother does nothing. 12-year-old brother always annoys everyone. 8-year-old sister always asking for a snack. And 2-year-old, 1-year-old, and 5-month-old brothers are crazy. Yes, sounds like you get your hands full. Hang in there. Jacob Wolf says, I have a New Zealand whites, but by my reading, they should be around 2.7 pounds. Yeah, that sounds about right. Probably about 3 pounds, probably. Close to it anyway at 6 weeks old. So it sounds like you're on the right track. And Jay says to John, yes, a 3-door convertible. Emma Ball says, do your birds tend to lay in the sandbox or do they still lay on the mesh? Most of their eggs, almost all of them, I mean like 95% or more, they lay in the sandbox, almost always. Occasionally I'll get one laid out on the wire, but not very often. Most of the time it's in the sandbox. And that's good because the eggs are clean. I mean, they come out super clean. And I very seldom have anything stuck to them or anything like that. It's way easier to deal with that way. Blessed with Pet says, I need to build some rabbit cages. You might look into buying some. The last time I was going to build cages, I bought the Do More cages, I think it was, from Tractor Supply. And it was only about, I bought 4 cages, and it was only like $20-$30 more to buy 4 cages than it was to buy all the wire and stuff I needed to build 4 cages. And I figured I'd pay somebody $30 to cut all that wire. So, I mean, it was worth it for me to spend the extra $30 and get pre-made cages and save myself the hassle of doing all the work to build them. So you might look into it and see if it's, if it's the same thing. I don't know if it was a special deal at the time or what, but unless you just got the wire on hand, I didn't. I would have to buy wire. Oh, looks like we've come to the end of the comments, or it's slowed down anyway. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but apparently the Chiefs kicker, Harrison Butker, is catching a bunch of flack for a speech he gave, a commencement speech. And whether you agree with everything he said or not, which I kind of tend to lean towards. I mean, I kind of liked his speech. I thought it was pretty good. There's a lot of people reading into it. But you got to realize, too, is he was, he's Catholic, and he was giving a speech at a Catholic university. So it makes sense that he would be giving Catholic values to these students. But there's a lot of people that are really upset by that because he's not, he didn't give the narrative that everybody wants. Nuno says, I used to raise New Zealand rabbits a few years ago. I want to go back into it. What's the best breed for meat? Well, I mean, New Zealand's are great. They're a fantastic breed. Californias, there's a whole bunch of them. I like the silver foxes quite a bit, but they do grow out slower. Mine do anyway. You might be able to find some that grow out a little bit faster. If you want just super fast growth rate, it's hard to beat a good New Zealand, a good California. One of those 2 breeds are probably the easiest to come by, and they're up there with the best of them. But there's a whole lot of different ones, and they're all pretty decent meat breeds. But you're probably going to be able to find New Zealand's and California's the easiest, and they're as good as any you're going to find, especially if you can find purebred New Zealand or purebred California. Even if it's one of each, a purebred New Zealand, a purebred California, and then crossbreed them, you get that hybrid vigor, and that's pretty good too. Scrap 5000 says they want to destroy God and everything else in this world. Isn't that true? They sure do. And it seems worse now than it has been. Well, I don't know. Maybe I just notice it more now, but it sure does seem like it's worse now than it used to be. But yeah, they did not like what he had to say, and I thought he was pretty right on though. I'm not Catholic, and I have serious. I don't. Let's see. How do I say this exactly? I'm not Catholic. I have problems with Catholic doctrine. I don't necessarily agree with Catholic doctrine, but I do think, I mean, we're much more closely aligned than a lot of other people are. And I don't hate Catholics or anything like that. I think there's a lot of Catholics that are probably saved. And I don't necessarily think the doctrine is that great. I have differences of opinions on that, but it's still, I agreed with most of what he said. Jacob Wolf says, personally, I prefer the Pet Lodge cages from Rural King. I got 36 by 30 for $50. So that may be good. Jacob says Tractor Supply cages were like $42.99 in my area. So yeah, either way, that's not a terrible price. Blessed with Pets says, all I have is the Do More cages now, but I want to build some with smaller wire, and I want to do a special design that has built-in trays. It'll be a 3-stack wire. Okay, so you've got a plan for it. You've already looked into it. I was just giving you advice just in case, but sounds like you're on the right track. Verna says, for one person, a Havana full-grown can last 3 or 4 meals. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, as far as like breeds of meat rabbits, yeah, Havanas are good rabbits too. A little bit on the smaller side, like you said, but if you're just one person, that doesn't really matter that much. Andy Rabbit said, I heard he's getting flack for saying his wife was a homemaker. From a homemaker myself, I find it offensive that he's getting flack for it. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's basically what he said, was he told he said, well, I mean, you guys can look it up and see it. It wasn't as bad as what they tried to make it out to be, of course, but he said, to the women, I mean, he said things to the guys too, but he said to the women, don't necessarily, don't push if your dreams are of becoming a homemaker and becoming a mother and a wife and, all those kinds of things. Don't put that aside to try to pursue career only, because that is a great calling. And he went on to say other things too, but they're taking that, of course, as being like he's misogynistic and all that. And it wasn't at all like that. Blessed with Pet says, when I bought the Do More cages, they were $31.99, and since then they've gone up to $42.99. Yeah, everything's gone up, and it's going to keep going up, unfortunately. David says, our California bunnies, Abraham and Sarah, had their first date night yesterday morning. I tried to get them together again this morning, but she said, no way. Yeah, that's what that happens sometimes. It's funny. Abraham and Sarah, are they really old? Makes me wonder, huh? Well, hopefully that it took, and hopefully you get some baby rabbits coming pretty quick. Jay says, would it make a difference to separate breeding groups like 6 to 7 birds total, or just have a large flock maintaining proper ratio of roos and hens? Okay, would it make a difference to separate breeding groups of like 6 to 7 birds total? I don't know that it makes a difference. I mean, unless you're just looking to, if you've got the, cage space, the way your cages are set up, they're more ideal for that many birds or something like that. I don't think it really makes a difference one way or the other. The only difference it could be is you could keep track maybe a little bit of which birds are, your eggs are coming from, because if you got them all together in one group, you have no idea. But it doesn't really make a difference. Jacob Wolf says the Pet Lodge ones are galvanized as well. So, well, yeah, mine are, I don't know if they're galvanized, but they're painted, I believe. So, I mean, they're holding up okay right now. Verna says a homemaker needs many talents. Yeah, I agree. Dragon Girl's here. Hello, everyone, says. Good. Well, hello to you, too. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, as a Catholic, believe me when I say that we and Protestants are all united in Christ, as well as in all other religions of true peace. Okay, so I don't know what you mean by the all other religions of true peace. I don't know what that means exactly. And yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, I know that I'm not saying Catholics aren't saved or anything like that. I just disagree with a lot of the doctrine that they have. But that's a whole nother discussion for another time and place, probably. I think that we do, for the most part, we align probably pretty well. But there are some things in Catholic doctrine that I disagree with. Now, that doesn't, just because somebody's Catholic doesn't necessarily mean that they hold to all that doctrine that I disagree with, but that's okay. Not trying to, upset anybody or anything, but that's just the way it is. I disagree with some of it, but that's okay. I can say I agree. We're united in Christ, and I'm okay with that. But I don't know what you mean exactly by all other religions of true peace. It depends on what those are. And I must have shut us all down because nobody's talking now. And there's David says, we're hoping that Abraham and Sarah have descendants as many as the stars in the sky. Well, there's a possibility of that. I mean, it's, they are rabbits after all. So Emma says, Chris, I mentioned exhibiting quail a few chats back to see if anybody was interested in showing their birds. I've put something together. If I could share the details. Yeah, you can. I mean, I don't know that you probably can't post a link necessarily. I don't think YouTube's going to let you post a link to anything, but yeah, share the details. I remember talking about that. So yeah, feel free to share. Verna says, in other words, Chris, they do have to be called Christians to be connected. Well, I've learned just because people call themselves Christians does not always mean exactly what you think, they mean by being Christian. There's a whole lot of progressive Christianity out there nowadays. It's just not really Christian, if that makes sense. Andy Rabbit says, today was the last day of school for my granddaughter. Oh, I bet she's excited. S.O. Swanson says, Chris may not be aware of the group. I don't know what that means exactly, but. And Andy says, no, she didn't get kicked out either. Oh, I didn't go. I didn't think she did. But yeah, it should be about the end of school season for most kids nowadays, huh? Getting out in May. Yeah, have May, June, July, and then go back in August usually. So, yeah, I wish we had summer vacation. That would be nice, but it doesn't happen as an adult. Got to keep working. Verna says some don't get out until mid-June. It does seem like summer vacation has kind of become shorter than what it used to be. Or maybe when I was a kid, it just, time took longer to pass. And that's what made it seem like that. And then Andy Rabbit says summer school starts Monday for them. And Verna says depends on their snow days. Well, that's true. Yeah, I guess, you have more snow days than they usually tack those on to the end of the year. But I don't think we had very many snow days here in Missouri. It was a pretty mild winter this year. All right. Slowing down again. We got like 20 minutes left. We need I don't have anything to talk about. I talked about Harrison Butker, but that's all I had. I didn't have another story planned out. I should. I say this every week and I still don't do it, do I? SO says we had almost 10 snow days down here this past winter. That's a lot more than we had. I don't think we had any. But I don't know, honestly. I don't really pay that much attention because I don't have young kids in school anymore and just don't pay much attention to it. Scrap 5000 says, by religions of true peace, I mean ones that teach love and caring rather than ones that encourage stoning and throwing people off of rooftops. That isn't peaceful. Well, I'd agree that is not peaceful. But at the same time, just because they teach love and peace and caring doesn't make them Christian either. That's not what Christianity is about. That's not what Christ preached to us. That's not, what the Bible says exactly. It's not about those things. I mean, those are important, but that's not what it's about. So there's a little bit more of a requirement than that. But Andy says we had a week or so of snow mud days here. Mud days, huh? I've never heard of that before, but yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I could. Blessed with Pets says, I wish I could afford KW cages. LOL. Yeah. Yeah, there's always something nicer out there, but yeah, there's a price trade-off. Cost can be a problem. Jacob says, do you have any upcoming videos for us to look forward to? Well, I'm going to try. I did shoot some video this weekend. I got out and, excuse me, I got out and planted the garden. And I shot some video, but it ended up being like incredibly boring video. I just didn't do a very good job with it. So I didn't post it, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better at getting the videos posted again because I've just had a hard time. I mean, it's been a couple of weeks and I haven't posted anything. So yeah, I'm going to do my best to get back out there and get them done. SO says, how are the chickens still? How are the chickens doing? Still got them all. Yeah, still got them all. They're doing pretty good. They are, what's the, Andy Rabbit's laughing at Scrap. I'm not sure why, but anyway, yes, the chickens are doing fine. They're growing. I mean, they're getting pretty good size now. It's only going to be another probably 2 weeks because I don't think I'll be able to next weekend, but maybe the weekend after. Let's see, what is next weekend? Yeah, next weekend I'll probably be tied up. It's Memorial Day weekend, so I probably won't be able to get them processed then. So it'll probably be the weekend after that. They'll be about ready to go and process. Verna says, Chris, with my rabbit being inside where I hear everything, one mama, when she is weaning her kits, boy, does she thump. Yeah, sometimes they do. I can imagine. Being inside, you would notice that more. Andy Rabbit says, oh my gosh, the school will be closed for mud after snow here. Yeah, I never heard of mud days, but yeah, it makes sense. S.O. Swanson says, Chris, your boring gardening video can still encourage those of us without a garden. Yeah, it could, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe I'll revisit it and see what I can do. But, yeah, it wasn't that great. David says, when you are retired, every day is a vacation unless you have quail, chickens, rabbits, and dogs, etc. LOL. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's still a vacation, but, that is one thing I think, that kind of brings up a point. Like you said, you're retired unless you have all these things, My rabbits, my quail, my chicken, they don't really take up that much time in my day. It's pretty easy. But, when you look at things like Living Traditions Homestead, where they're truly homesteading, they're producing all the food and all that that is so much work. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that just look at that and think, oh, that's the life, but that is so much work. And there's no vacationing. You can't leave. You've got to be there. You got to take care of everything. So it's really, it's a lot more work than I think people think whenever they look at those homesteading things and decide, I want to become a homesteader. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, yes, Jesus taught to be united with him to make it into heaven, but I doubt God will turn away those who have loved all and did good. Well, see, that is a difference with, and I don't mean to, again, hopefully I'm not offending you or upsetting you. That is a difference with what the Bible teaches about salvation. Salvation is by faith. It's not by works. Salvation is our faith in Christ alone, and that's it. I mean, Romans says that it's faith. It's not of our own. It is of God, so that no man can boast. It's not works based. So it has nothing to do with what we've done, how many good deeds we've done, or anything like that. We're all sinners. We're all, just wretched, filthy rags in God's sight. We're only justified through our faith in Christ and his righteousness imparted to us through that faith. That's it. That's the only thing that provides us with salvation. So that is the difference in the doctrines that I was talking about. And again, I'm not trying to call you out here or hurt your feelings, or, I'm not trying to make you upset. I like to debate these kinds of things. It's good. I don't hate you because you have those views or anything like that. It's just, that's just the difference in the doctrine that I'm talking about. Andy Rabbit says, I went to Arkansas this last week. I found some moringa trees at a grocery store down there, and yes, I bought a few. I'm not sure what moringa trees are. I'm not real familiar with moringa, but interesting. I like Arkansas quite a bit. We went down there. It's been a while, several weeks, about a month or so ago. It was actually St. Patrick's Day weekend. We went down there, had a good time. Eureka Springs is where we were, but northern Arkansas anyway is really beautiful. Andy says, my 8-week-old Egyptian quail mostly have quit laying. They have 30% game bird feed, 16 hours of light. What am I doing wrong? It doesn't sound like you're doing anything wrong. Verna says, sounds like there's a predators visiting, so they do feel safe enough to lay. So So, well, I mean, it could be a predator or something like that, but chances are it's not. I've very seldom, if ever, have had anything like that really stress them out. There's really two things that kind of stress them out. One thing really in particular, and that's if you move them around. So if you move them from one cage to another or something like that, that can stress them out and get them to stop laying. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it. Are they molting? Maybe if they're molting, that can usually get them to stop laying for a little while, and they'll pick back up. I just give them a little bit of time. Chances are you're going to start seeing eggs out of them pretty quick. I'm sorry you're having issues with them, but it sounds like you're doing. I mean, you got 30% game bird feed, you got 16 hours of light. You're doing everything right. So I don't think there's any issues there. It's just you may just have to be a little bit more patient and give them a little more time. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, I never get offended. No worries. Good. Because I don't mean it in a hateful way. But Andy Rabbit says, I've been there too many times the last few weeks, too much driving. I also went through Joplin this last week too, but was late on the way back to stop and see you. Yeah, could have, I guess. Yeah, you could have hollered at me. I mean, if you're coming by. But I get it. Yeah, sometimes you just need to get home. Yeah, it's a little bit of a drive from here to there. I mean, we've got about a good 2-hour drive, I think, between here and your house. S.O. Swanson says, normally stress and light are the issues. Some areas are at 14 hours. Boost something back to 16 hours. There's a icon in the way here. I can't see exactly what that says, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, stress and light are the two things that really kind of keep them from laying. But it sounds like, I mean, as long as you're not moving them around a lot, there's not some kind of big stress factor there. And again, unless there's like huge predator pressure that's really pestering them, that could be an issue. But I don't think that's probably it. I mean, that just seems unlikely that there would be that big of a predator issue. Usually, the predators they either get what they're after or they give up pretty quick. I mean, they don't keep after them. Andy says, I think it was about 11 p.m. when I was heading back through Joplin. Yeah, that's too late. I was in bed by 11 o'clock. So, I go to bed like 9 o'clock because I get up early. But, 11 p.m., too late. I'm too old for that. There was a time in my life where 11 o'clock was normal, but not anymore. Emma says, what substrate would you recommend for deep litter in an aviary setting? I don't know if I'm the one to talk to about aviary settings, but if you are going to do a deep litter, I would probably do some kind of wood chips. Stay away from cedar. Pine should be fine. Those should work pretty well. Just be prepared to be hunting for eggs, because that's going to be a hard, you're going to be, it's like an Easter egg hunt every day probably. But that's probably what I would use is if you can find a good source of wood shavings, that's probably what I would use. David Lister says, speaking of vacations, got to run, take care of quail and bunnies and chickens and dogs. Want my attention too. BC, what BCNU? What is that? BCNU? I don't know what that means. I'm having a hard time with that one. I'm sure that somebody's going to tell me and I'm going to be like, duh, I should have known that. But either way, thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. Go take care of what you need to. Andy Rabbit says, I'm too old for all this driving. I've been doing this last week. Yeah, it can get to you pretty quick, can't it? So, where were you going? You came through Joplin. Were you going to Oklahoma or something? Kind of curious. I can't imagine any other reason why you'd be coming this direction, unless you're like going to Tulsa or something. Oh, be seeing you means be seeing you. Okay. That makes sense. Thank you. See? Duh. I knew somebody was going to tell me, and I was going to be like, I should have known that. But I didn't. All right. Where are we going now? And then suddenly, it's just quiet again. Oh, Anderson. Okay. And you came through Joplin to go to Anderson? Well, I guess. I mean, that makes sense. I could see that. I think 60 would have been, I mean, it's still close anyway, Neosho, but Joy says, eggs going into lockdown tomorrow. Well, good luck with your hatch. I hope that goes well. And then Sage Wolf has posted, what is that, a cricket? What is that? I don't know what that is. Andy says, that is the way the GPS told me to go. Yeah, I mean, that would I mean, you're hitting I-44, and I-44 is probably the direction to go to head back to your home. But I would think, I mean, there are other ways, but I don't know that they'd be a whole lot faster. Emma says, I'm putting some of my old breeders as pets in a small aviary for my toddler as pets. She likes to sit and watch them, so she won't mind the egg hunt. Oh, she won't mind the egg hunt at all. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, why not? Oh, Sage Wolf was posting a cricket because everything went silent. Duh. Sometimes those things are lost to me. I'm a little slow, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, like I said, I would look for like wood chips. Let her out there. Let her go find the eggs. Have fun with it. Blessed with Pets says, I'm scouting KW website, LOL. Yeah, that's the first step, isn't it? They're gonna suck you in. Sage Wolf says, yeah, crickets for when things. Okay, I already read that one. The crickets got everything went silent because makes sense. And here we are again. I mean, we've solved all the world's problems tonight. I don't have anything left to talk about, right? Scrap 5000 says, Chris, we should team up and do a weekly religion podcast. Maybe we should. It doesn't sound like a terrible idea. Just find time to commit to doing it. And I don't know the first thing about doing a podcast. I guess I could learn, and I don't know that I'm necessarily the most qualified to do that. But heck, we could talk about it all we wanted, right? Emma says, you said no cedar, though. Is there anything else I should stay away from? I mean, nothing else jumps out at me right offhand. Cedar's bad. It can cause respiratory issues and toxicity issues and that kind of stuff. But yeah, you want to stay away from cedar. Other than that, I don't know. I can't think of anything else that jumps out at me. Yeah, Andy Rabbit says look on bass equipment for cages and also all things bunnies. Yeah, and that's just right down the road from us. I mean, that's in Monette, so Monette, Missouri. Yeah, that's another option to look at for cages. Emma says, is 18 by 30 too small for Holland lops, lion heads, and lion lops? I don't know, honestly. Aren't Holland lops pretty good sized rabbits? I really don't know. I'm not. I don't really keep up with all those pet breeds. It seems a little bit on the small side to me, but I don't know. How big do they get? S.O. Swanson says, don't forget the meet and greet with Chris on Labor Day weekend, 107 days till Quail Con. Yep, it is coming up. Scrap 5000 says we call it saints and sinners and idol worshipers. Yeah, there we go. That doesn't sound like a terrible idea. Emma says, I have an arborist dropping fresh wood chips tomorrow. Is that okay to use or doesn't need to sit for a while? Any precautions I should take? No, those should be fine. Wood chips, whenever you pile wood chips up, they do tend to kind of start to decompose and they'll get pretty hot. But as long as you're not like stirring them up all the time, I think the birds will be fine on them. Sage Wolf says, already got my tickets for QuailCon 2024, so I'll do just that. Yeah, so Swanson says, you'll be good. I agree. I think you'd be fine with those. All right. Blessed with Pets says, I've got mine all in 30 by 36, but it takes up a lot of space. So yeah, okay. So you've got I like the 30 by 36, but you're right. I get that it takes up a lot of space. If you need to go with the smaller size, you probably can get away with it. Bob Cole says, if you have a lumber yard, check with them for sawdust. I have a Woodville close and get 55-gallon bags of sawdust, small wood chips. I put a layer in the poop trays under the hutches. A wood mill, not Woodville. I thought Woodville was maybe like a brand name of a wood store or something, but I didn't know that. Yeah, the only thing I would say about sawdust is it does tend to clump up and get very hard, like concrete, almost. So it's pretty dense, but I'm sure it would work, especially if you're mixing it in with like wood chips. It'd be a good filler. Emma says, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, S.O. You are absolutely welcome. How are we doing on time? We got 5 minutes left. S.O. Sweat says, I let my manure drop to the ground like Chris's cage, and I'm in black fly heaven right now. Yeah, I haven't really noticed them here yet. It's still a little bit on the cool side right now. We're getting nights down in the 50s, but it's pretty close to being like we're supposed to be like in the 80s, 86 degrees on Saturdays. So we're getting there. We haven't even turned our air conditioner on yet because it's just been nice and cool in the evenings. Blessed with Pet says, I need a shower. I smell like goats. Could be worse things to smell like. Andy Rabbit says, I haven't seen any BSF yet. I haven't either. I always look forward to them, coming in, but I haven't seen them yet. We're just going to sit here in awkward silence whenever it runs out of comments to respond, chats to respond to. See, Bob says, I have 2 level hutches and want the poop to go into the compost piles. Okay, I'm not sure how to respond to that. Yeah, I throw a lot of mine in the compost pile too. But when I've got the black soldier fly larvae in the summertime, it's just, man, they just keep it all composted down right under the hutch. So it's a lot less work for me. But yeah, it works. I mean, it's great to throw in the compost pile. So Swanson says, I'm south of y'all. They'll come out of hibernation there soon. Yeah, they will. Andy says, I like seeing the BSF too. Yeah, they're great. Emma Bell says, goats and 6 children, you deserve a medal when your parents return home. Yeah, no kidding. Blessed with Pets says, I've been caught up in the show world, and I finally decided to just have fun with pet rabbits and all the crazy colors I love. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. No, I haven't. Scrap 5000 says, have you heard the Russian proverb? You go to heaven for the weather and hell for the crowd. No, I have not heard of that. That's a new one. Yep, 2-minute warning. So Swanson's on it. Oh, sorry, got an itch. It's hard to reach. So Swanson says, thank Mrs. Redneck for sharing you with us this evening. Helpful as usual. Well, I will tell her you said that. And she will be happy with that, I'm sure. Good timing. I'm out of soda. Bob Cole says, thanks for what you do, Chris. We are absolutely welcome. Thank you guys for joining me every week. I appreciate that. Hanging with me in my slow spell for putting out videos. I appreciate that too. Blessed with Pets says, haha, my payment for babysitting is my parents letting me pick up goats this weekend. I turned 16 in February and finally got my license. Awesome. Emma says, what size and gauge mesh do you use for your flooring? You're talking about the Quail, right? I use half-inch mesh. Yeah, half-inch mesh. There's a lot of people that use coated wire, and if they're using coated wire, they usually go by 1 by 1/2 inch coated wire. And I think that's probably a little bit of a better option. With that being said, half-inch hardware cloth has served me pretty well. I don't have any issues with it. It's probably a little better to use coated wire. But whichever one. And if you're going to use coated, I mean, that stuff's pretty expensive, but you only need it for the floor. You don't need it for the sides. Andy Rabbit says, last year I had quail pass away and the hubby tossed it on the ground for me to look at at what one it was the next day but the black soldier fly had ate it overnight and was shocked to see that. Yeah, they will devour everything super quick. Scrap 5000 says, smash the like button. Only 11. No, I showed 35, 36 likes. Emma says, oh my gosh, 16 too. Gold medal for you. Well done. Yep, I agree. All right, well, it is right up 8 o'clock, so I got to wrap this one up. But again, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. It's always a good time hanging out, talking to you guys. And we will see you guys hopefully next week. Don't see any reasons why I won't be here next week. I'll try to get a video out for you this week as well. And again, thanks for joining, guys. We'll see you next week. As always, God bless.